You may be closer than you think, but impatience can make a man destroy the very thing that God has been patiently preparing. A door may be forming while you complain about the hallway. Strength may be growing while you complain about the wait. Wisdom may be entering your life while you complain about the delay. You may be looking only for the result, while God is looking at the vessel that must carry the result. And if the vessel is still weak, still restless, still proud, still easily moved by fear, then the waiting may not be punishment at all. It may be mercy. Do not rush what God is strengthening. There are seasons when nothing appears to be moving, yet everything important is being formed beneath the surface. The impatient man judges only by what his eyes can measure. He asks, where is the reward? Where is the answer? Where is the open door? Where is the sign that my effort has not been wasted? But faith asks a better question. Faith asks, what is God building in me while I cannot yet see what He is building for me? That question can save your destiny. Many people ruin a divine process because they think slowness means failure. They abandon the field because the harvest has not appeared. They forsake the discipline because the reward is not immediate. They accept cheap opportunities because the right one seems delayed. They compromise character because they are tired of waiting for provision. They force relationships, decisions, enterprises, and ambitions before wisdom has matured enough to guide them. Then they call the damage misfortune. But often the damage was impatience. Impatience does not merely make you restless. It makes you unwise. It narrows your vision until all you can see is what you do not yet have. It makes another man's progress look like your defeat. It makes preparation feel like rejection. It makes discipline feel like punishment. It makes God's silence feel like absence, when silence may be the very place where He is teaching you to walk by faith rather than by constant evidence. Do not confuse silence with emptiness. God can work in silence. The seed does not hear applause in the ground. The root does not receive praise while it pushes downward in darkness. The foundation does not become famous before the house stands upon it. Yet without root and foundation, what rises quickly cannot remain. The shallow plant may appear first, but the deep-rooted tree survives the storm. You are not being developed only for appearance. You are being developed for endurance. This is why some blessings must come slowly. They must come after the heart has been purified enough not to worship them. They must come after the mind has been trained enough to manage them. They must come after character has been made steady enough not to collapse beneath them. A man may ask God for wealth, but if wealth would make him proud, careless, and forgetful of purpose, then wealth too early may become a danger. A man may ask for influence, but if influence would turn his voice harsh, vain, or controlling, then influence too early may injure both him and others. A man may ask for success, but if success would make him abandon prayer, humility, discipline, and service, then success too early may be a curse wearing the garments of a blessing. God is too wise to bless a man in a way that destroys him. Therefore, when the answer seems delayed, do not immediately accuse life of being unfair. Look inward. Ask what must be strengthened. Ask what must be surrendered. Ask what must be learned. Ask what appetite must be governed, what fear must be mastered, what pride must be humbled, what discipline must become stable. The delay may be pointing toward the very weakness that the blessing would expose. Napoleon Hill often spoke of persistence, faith, definiteness of purpose, and the power of the mind rightly directed. But faith is not merely the belief that you will receive. Faith is also the discipline to remain faithful while you are being prepared. It is not a trembling hope that says, perhaps something will happen. It is a working trust that says, I will do what is mine to do, while God does what only God can do. This is the balance. Work without panic. Wait without idleness. Prepare without fear. Trust without laziness. Move without forcing. The man who truly believes God is developing him does not sit in weakness and call it surrender. He does not neglect effort and call it faith. He does not refuse discipline and say, if God wants it, he will bring it. No, he works the field. He sharpens the tool. He studies the lesson. He corrects the habit. He governs his speech. He keeps his promise. He continues in honest service. But he does not tear up the field because fruit has not appeared by morning. He understands season. Season is one of God's great laws. There is a season to plant, a season to water, a season to grow unseen, and a season to gather. Trouble begins when a man demands harvest during the planting season. He becomes angry that the seed is not bred, angry that the root is not shade, angry that the foundation is not a mansion. In his anger, he may abandon the exact process that would have brought him what he desired. Respect the season you are in. If you are in a planting season, plant faithfully. If you are in a pruning season, allow what is unfruitful to be cut away. If you are in a learning season, learn without resentment. If you are in a waiting season, wait with obedience. If you are in a rebuilding season, place one stone upon another, and do not despise the slow wall. Every season has a command. The command is not always speed. Sometimes the command is patience. Sometimes the command is correction. Sometimes the command is silence. Sometimes the command is endurance. Sometimes the command is preparation. Find the command of your season and obey it. This is where impatience becomes dangerous. It tells you to escape the season instead of obeying it. It tells you that if things are slow, something must be wrong. It tells you that if others are ahead, you are behind. It tells you that if God has not answered in your time, you must create your own answer by any means available. That is how men make costly mistakes. They choose the wrong association because they are tired of waiting for honorable cooperation. They accept the wrong offer because they fear no better one will come. They spend beyond wisdom because they want to appear farther along than they truly are. They speak before they understand. They promise before they can perform. They leap before they have counted the cost. Then, when consequences arrive, they wonder why the road became hard. It became hard because impatience took the reins. Do not let impatience drive your life. It is a poor guide. It sees only the immediate desire. It does not care about the future cost. It does not honor character. It does not respect God's timing. It does not ask whether you are ready. It only says, now. And many lives have been damaged by obeying that one restless word. Faith can say another word. Prepare. That word has saved many men. Prepare your mind. Prepare your habits. Prepare your accounts. Prepare your skill. Prepare your heart. Prepare your character. Prepare your house. Prepare your work. Prepare your speech. Prepare your spirit. Preparation is never wasted when guided by purpose. You may not be able to force the harvest, but you can prepare the barn. You may not be able to command the open door, but you can prepare the man who will walk through it. You may not be able to decide when recognition comes, but you can become worthy of being recognized for something real. This is your work. Do not neglect it because the final result is not yet visible. There is a danger in wanting God to move quickly while you move carelessly. A man says, Lord, bless my work, but he will not improve the work. He says, Lord, open a door, but he will not develop the ability the door would require. He says, Lord, give me increase, but he will not govern what is already in his hand. He says, Lord, use me, but he will not surrender the habit that makes him unreliable. This is not faith. It is presumption. Faith cooperates with God through obedience. It does not demand results while refusing responsibility. It says, show me what must be corrected, and I will correct it. Show me what must be learned, and I will learn it. Show me what must be surrendered, and I will surrender it. Show me what must be built, and I will build patiently. Such a man is not passive. He is submitted. Submission is not weakness. It is strength under divine order. It is the ability to act without arrogance and wait without despair. It is the refusal to make your own restless schedule the measure of God's faithfulness. God is not late because he does not obey your impatience. He is not absent because he is quiet. He is not unkind because he prepares you slowly. The slow process may be the kindness. Think of the men who received too much before wisdom was formed. Their success exposed them. Their money controlled them. Their influence corrupted them. Their speed outpaced their character. They rose quickly, but they could not stand firmly because the unseen foundation had not been built. Do not envy quick elevation without knowing the weight it carries. Do not envy another man's season. You do not know what God has required of him. You do not know what hidden training preceded his visible result. You do not know what burden comes with his blessing. You do not know whether his height is rooted or fragile. Comparison is the enemy of patient faith. It makes you believe God has forgotten you because he is blessing someone else. It makes you measure your development by another man's calendar. It makes you resent the field God has assigned to you because another field appears greener from a distance. Stay with your assignment. If God is developing you slowly, let him develop you deeply. Depth is better than speed. A deep faith can endure what shallow excitement cannot. A deep character can carry what shallow ambition cannot. A deep root can survive what shallow growth cannot. A deep purpose can continue when praise disappears. Let depth have its time. The impatient man wants to be seen. The faithful man wants to be made ready. The impatient man asks for the stage. The faithful man asks for substance. The impatient man wants reward to prove him. The faithful man lets discipline prepare him. Which man are you becoming? That question matters more than how quickly the result appears. If impatience is rising in you, do not condemn yourself. Bring it under command. Impatience often rises where desire is strong. The goal matters, so waiting hurts. The dream is alive, so delay feels painful. But strong desire must be governed by stronger faith. Otherwise, the very desire that should motivate you will begin misleading you. Tell your desire to serve God's timing. Tell your ambition to bow before wisdom. Tell your hunger to submit to discipline. Then continue. Continue praying, but also continue preparing. Continue believing, but also continue correcting. Continue dreaming, but also continue serving. Continue waiting, but also continue working. Let no day pass in useless complaint when it could be used for quiet development. Ask every morning, what can be built in me today? Not only, what can be given to me today? This changes your spiritual posture. You stop standing before God only as one who wants. You begin standing before him as one willing to be shaped. You stop measuring the day only by what arrived. You begin measuring it by what obedience formed. Was patience strengthened? Was pride humbled? Was discipline practiced? Was faith exercised? Was service rendered? Was fear refused? Was character made cleaner? If so, the day was not wasted. The visible result may still be future, but the inner man has advanced. And often, the inner man must advance first. Do not rush past this truth. Your future will not be sustained merely by what God gives you. It will be sustained by who you become under God's hand. The gift and the giver of service must be prepared together. The opportunity and the character must agree. The harvest and the steward must be suited to one another. If the steward is not ready, the harvest may be lost. So let God make the steward ready. Let him teach you through delay. Let him refine you through waiting. Let him expose what impatience would have hidden. Let him strengthen your will through repetition. Let him cleanse your motives through silence. Let him develop endurance through slow progress. Do not pull away from the hand that is forming you. The hand may feel firm, but it is faithful. There may be days when you do not understand the process. Continue anyway. There may be days when you feel forgotten. Pray and continue. There may be days when others advance while you remain in preparation. Bless them and continue. There may be days when the old impatience tells you to force the door. Stand still until wisdom speaks, then take the next right step. You are not required to understand every delay. You are required to remain faithful within it. The time of development is not the time to become careless. It is the time to become exact. Keep your house in order. Keep your words honest. Keep your work faithful. Keep your spirit teachable. Keep your hands ready. Keep your heart clean. Keep your purpose before God. This is how a man waits without wasting. And when God sees fit to bring forth what he has been developing, the man who waited rightly will not meet the blessing as a stranger. He will recognize it as the fruit of a long hidden holy preparation. He will carry it with gratitude instead of pride, with steadiness instead of panic, with purpose instead of vanity. But before that day arrives, the heart must be guarded from the one poison that most often destroys patience, comparison. For comparison can make another man's season look like evidence against your own. And if you permit that lie to govern you, you may leave the very field where God was preparing your harvest. And comparison is one of the quickest ways to lose peace while God is still building patience. It makes another man's open door look like your closed one. It makes another man's harvest look like your failure. It makes another man's promotion look like proof that you have been forgotten. But comparison is not wisdom. It is a thief dressed as measurement. It enters the heart quietly, takes away gratitude, weakens faith, and turns a man's eyes from his own assignment. Do not measure God's work in your life by another man's season. You do not know the whole story behind what you are seeing. You see the fruit, but not the years of root. You see the door, but not the discipline that prepared him to enter it. You see the blessing, but not the burden attached to it. You see the height, but not the winds that strike that height when no one is watching. It is foolish to envy a harvest when you do not know the cost of the field. Stay with your own field. God does not develop every man by the same road at the same speed under the same conditions. One man may be trained through responsibility early. Another may be trained through delay. One may learn humility through success. Another may learn faith through obscurity. One may be shaped by increase. Another may be shaped by loss. The method belongs to God. Your duty is obedience. The impatient man becomes angry because the path is not equal in appearance. He says, Why is he advancing while I am still waiting? But the wiser man asks, what does my present season require? That question brings the soul back under command. It stops wasting thought on another man's appointment and begins honoring the duty placed in your own hands. You cannot live another man's calling. You cannot borrow another man's timing. You cannot force your seed to become his tree. If you try, you may ruin your own growth. Comparison often causes a man to dig up what God has planted in him. He begins changing direction before the root is formed. He leaves the work he was called to strengthen because someone else appears to be moving faster elsewhere. He abandons discipline, shifts his aim, imitates another man's method, and mistakes restlessness for inspiration. This is how impatience disguises itself. It does not always say, quit. Sometimes it says, change everything. Sometimes it says, follow that man's road. Sometimes it says, you are behind, hurry. But if the voice produces panic, envy, confusion, and distrust of God's timing, examine it carefully. God does not lead by envy. He may correct you. He may urge you. He may command you. But he does not need comparison to guide you into obedience. A man may learn from others without comparing himself to them. This difference is important. Wisdom can observe another man's progress and ask, what principle is worth learning? Envy asks, why not me? Wisdom studies discipline, faith, service, preparation, and character. Envy studies appearance and becomes bitter. Choose wisdom. If another man's success awakens jealousy, do not hide from the truth. Bring the jealousy into the light. Ask what it is revealing. Perhaps it reveals a desire you have not surrendered to God. Perhaps it reveals fear that there is not enough blessing to go around. Perhaps it reveals pride that wanted to be first. Perhaps it reveals discouragement that has begun doubting the value of your own field. Do not let jealousy become your master. Let it become your teacher. Say within yourself, this feeling does not have authority. It is only showing me what must be governed. Then return to prayer, discipline, and your appointed work. Bless another man's harvest without cursing your seed. This is a high discipline. It requires faith that God is not limited. Another man's open door does not close the door God has prepared for you. Another man's reward does not reduce heaven's storehouse. Another man's season does not mean your season has been canceled. God is not poor. He does not need to take from one to bless another. When you truly believe this, comparison loses much of its poison. You can rejoice without feeling robbed. You can learn without losing peace. You can honor another man's progress while remaining faithful to your own preparation. This freedom is precious. Protect it. Comparison also makes a man misread time. He begins thinking he is late because someone else arrived earlier. But late according to whose clock? You may be late according to pride. You may be late according to the expectations of others. You may be late according to the schedule you invented before you understood the depth of the preparation required. But you are not late if God is still forming what must be formed. Do not let human impatience call divine preparation delay. This does not mean you should excuse laziness. Be honest. If you are behind because you have refused discipline, then repent and begin. If you are delayed because you avoided responsibility, then correct it. If you wasted years, do not call waste God's timing. That is false comfort. But if you have been faithful, if you are working, learning, correcting, serving, praying, and continuing, then do not torment yourself because the visible result has not appeared as quickly as you imagined. Faithfulness under hidden growth is not failure. It is formation. A man must be honest enough to distinguish between delay caused by disobedience and waiting required by development. The first calls for correction. The second calls for patience. Often both may be present. You may need to correct your part while trusting God with a part beyond your control. This is mature faith. It does not blame God for human neglect. It does not blame itself for divine timing. It separates what belongs to command from what belongs to surrender. Ask, what is mine to do? Then do it. Ask, what is not mine to force? Then release it. This will save your peace. Impatience often grows because a man keeps trying to manage what is beyond his authority. He wants to control how others respond when opportunity appears, how quickly trust forms, how soon results become visible, and how God arranges a road. These matters are not fully in his hand. When he tries to seize them, anxiety grows. Return to your portion. Your portion is obedience. Your portion is preparation. Your portion is discipline. Your portion is honest work. Your portion is guarding the heart. Your portion is correcting what God has revealed. Your portion is moving faithfully in the light you have. Do not neglect your portion while worrying about God's portion. This is one of the great errors of the impatient soul. It complains about closed doors while leaving its own house in disorder. It worries about the harvest while neglecting the field. It fears being overlooked while refusing to become dependable in hidden duties. Be faithful where you are. Hidden faithfulness is never wasted. It may not be applauded, but it is forming a witness in your own character. It teaches the mind that obedience does not depend upon recognition. It teaches the will to move by purpose rather than praise. It teaches the heart to trust God when results remain unseen. This hidden faithfulness becomes strength for visible responsibility. If you cannot serve faithfully when no one sees, success may make your service shallow. If you cannot remain humble in obscurity, recognition may awaken vanity. If you cannot trust God in delay, increase may make you anxious to preserve what you were once anxious to obtain. Therefore, the hidden season is doing holy work. Let it work. There is another danger in comparison. It makes you despise small beginnings. You see someone standing in fullness, and you become embarrassed by your own first step. You see another person's completed house and despise your first stone. You see another man's wide field and dislike your small plot of ground. Do not despise what God has placed in your hand. A small beginning under God's blessing has more future than a large appearance without foundation. The first stone matters. The first hour of discipline matters. The first honest prayer after discouragement matters. The first act of obedience after long delay matters. God often begins with what pride considers too small. Small is not empty. Small may be seed, and seed must not be judged by its present size. It must be judged by the life God has placed within it. A seed is unimpressive to the eye, but it carries a design that the eye cannot see. Your present step may appear small, but if it is obedient, disciplined, and aligned with God's purpose, it contains future. Protect the seed. Do not expose it to every doubtful voice. Do not abandon it because others do not yet see its shape.